Hello and welcome to a nutrition class with the Nerd Gym. I am Coach Melanie Black. I am your nutritionist and we are going to be talking about calories today. So we're going to be talking about how many calories do I need? What is a calorie? Do I need to cut calories to lose weight? And when should I add calories? So let us get into the poor misunderstood calorie. Now I've got these slides out of order, guys. Sorry, let's go ahead and scroll on down. What is a calorie? We're going to start with that one. That is the most important one to begin with, right? Is making sure we know what a calorie is. Now, the calorie definition we're looking at is 1 calorie is the same as 1 unit of energy, to raise 1 kilogram of water by 1 degree Celsius. Blech. Okay, but the most important thing to remember, regardless of units of measurement, unless you're into doing other stuff with a calorie besides eating them, you don't need to know all that nonsense. All you need to know is that calories are a unit of energy. Okay, calorie is a unit of energy. Energy is important. You need calories for your brain to maintain organ function. You need a certain amount of calories just to live. So calories are not bad, and humans are really good at storing calories, excess calories when we have them. That's part of the reason how we survived all these millennia. So yeah, calories, they're not a bad thing. They are a unit of energy. Sometimes we store them if they're in excess. The whole idea that calories are bad, that's a very sort of inaccurate way of looking things. I'm personally a big fan of energy, and in fact, when most people say that they want to start working out, they say they want more energy. Now, if a person is overweight and they have too much energy in storage, we need to liberate that energy from storage so that we can have access to it, right? If our body gets too good at just storing things all the time and reserving energy, we want to make the body better at using our stored energy. But that is what a calorie is. Calorie is just energy. That's all it is, okay? So the next time you get mad at that little belly fat you might have hanging on there, just think of it as your piggy bank, okay? It's stored up energy, ready to be used, and we're going to talk about how to actually use it during this class today. So now that you know what calories are, how many do you need, right? So one of the things we think about when we think about calories is how many do I need to maintain brain function, maintain organ function, keep my tissues from breaking down, keep my body from going catabolic and eating its own muscle to survive. We don't want to go too low in our calories. If we go below our base metabolic rate, then we are getting into the trouble zone. Now, if we have a lot of excess body fat, we may be able to go below that base metabolic rate for a little while and tap into those energy sources, but for the long term, especially if you've got a lot of fat to lose over a long period of time, you don't want to be dipping way below, or if you don't have a whole lot of excess body fat, you don't want to be dipping below your base metabolic rate. And I think this confuses a lot of people because there's a lot of there's a lot of diets out there that are like 800 calories. Ain't nobody surviving on as little as 800 calories. We'll get into that, but in any case, so how many calories you need depends on a number of complex factors: your goals, your activity level, your stress levels, metabolism, body mass, hormones. All this stuff can play a role in how many calories you need. So how many calories you as an individual human being needs can be a very complex issue, but we are going to just go ahead and base it off of a few basic things. So first, we're going to find your healthy / normal body weight insofar as we can. Now, some of you might already know what your healthy normal is for you, and we can use that number. If you don't know, I've already done this math for you, by the way. I'm just letting you know where these numbers come from. We can take your height and put it on a range on the BMI, body mass index chart, which, by the way, is hugely inaccurate for a lot of things, but it's a nice starting point for a math problem like this, shall we say. BMI tends to be pretty accurate for totally sedentary people. Once you start becoming more active, it becomes less accurate. So we do have some things to account for that as well. So we take your healthy normal, air quotes, 21 to 23 on the BMI, your estimated activity level, and your goals into account here. So if you look at this little chart that I made up for you here, I've got folks who are anywhere from 5 foot to 6'4", and I do not have them broken up by gender here. I don't find it's necessary if we're looking at activity level and basing our estimation of how much muscle you have off of the activity level. In my old textbook, nutrition textbook, the formula was you multiply the body weight by 10 for women and by 11 for men, because the assumption is that men will have more muscle mass. But as we know, that's going to be a very fluid, very different for different people, and that multiplying by 11 for active people is not enough calories. So this takes into consideration a little bit more of your goals and your activity level. So let's say, for example, my goal is rapid fat loss, and I am doing light activity. I may be walking, maybe breaking a sweat once or twice a week tops. So light activity. I'm not doing a whole lot of like heavy weight training right now, that kind of thing. Or maybe I'm kind of, just taking it easy. I'm on vacation kind of thing. My height, my personal height is 5'5". So I have a range of between 130 and 140 pounds as my estimated healthy normal body weight on the BMI. So that means that I'm going to go for between 1,300 and 1,400 calories for rapid fat loss with light activity. Rapid fat loss for light activity for someone who's 5'5", okay? Now let's say that I either want a more moderate fat loss. I don't want to go too hard because I know I'll get burnt out on it, or I have a really high activity. I'm maybe increasing my weight training, and that kind of stuff, and I still want that rapid fat loss, but I'm doing a lot more activity all of a sudden. This one describes most of the people that I work with. Most of the people I work with are hopping into not only a new nutrition plan, but also rapidly increasing their activity, and they want rapid fat loss. So what we do then is we multiply the weight times 12. So for somebody like me who's 5'5", that's between 1,560 and 1,680 calories. So that's the caloric range I want to be in for rapid fat loss with high activity or moderate fat loss with light activity. And then the next column up, multiplying by 13, would be a maintenance with light activity. Like, okay, I'm not losing weight. I don't want to lose weight anymore. I'm good. I'm happy right where I'm at. But I'm light activity. Then between 1690 and 1820 will keep me there. But maybe I still want moderate fat loss with high activity. Maybe I'm still like ramping up that activity level. Maybe I'm doing more weights, more running, that kind of stuff, and I want to get it there. Then I'm looking at moderate fat loss, high activity. I'm multiplying my base body weight by 13. Okay, and then maybe my goal is maintenance with high activity. Maybe I'm doing like, I'm training for doing some fun powerlifting kind of stuff, or a marathon or that kind of thing, and I want to keep my performance high. And I don't want to lose fat right now, but I don't want to gain fat either. Then I'm going to take that base weight and I'm going to multiply it by 14, giving me between 1820 and 1960 calories with the heavy activity, and I'm not going to gain anything. Or maybe I'm underweight and I want to gain weight, and I want to begin gaining weight with that light activity. So if I'm doing light activity, I'm eating between 1820 and 1960 calories, then I'm going to start gradually gaining weight, just a little bit of gain. And then finally, if my goal is gaining with high activity, like I'm trying to gain muscle mass now, like I'm doing a bodybuilding program, that kind of thing. I'm working out very, very hard and I'm doing a bodybuilding program. I've got to give my body the calories it needs to build that new tissue, to build that new muscle. So for a mass gain program for me, I would be eating between 2,080 calories and 2,240 calories. And that'll give me the resources my body needs to actually start building. Okay. So this chart, if you're a member of the Nerd Gym, I will make sure to get it up in the nutrition section. If you don't already have it, we'll get it up in the nutrition section of the Secrets website. If you're watching this and you're not a member of the Nerd Gym, you can join us by going to patreon.com/thenerdgym and join us at the membership level you can afford, and you will have access to all this information, including the meal plans that I base off of these numbers so that you don't have to do all the calculations yourself. I've already done it. It's in the meal plan, all that good stuff. Okay, so we've talked about what a calorie is. We've talked about how many you need. Do I need to cut calories to lose weight? Okay, so this is a great question. There's a lot of meal plans out there that don't focus on cutting calories, but rather focus on either cutting processed foods or replacing them with whole food, that kind of stuff. But do I need to cut calories to lose weight? Yes, yes you do, most of the time. The good news is many diet plans take advantage of the volume to reduce calories without calorie counting. So I'm a big fan of this method. I do integrate this into a lot of my meal plans where we swap out highly processed calories for whole food calories. And what that does is it fills your tummy more. It makes you feel more satiety, less hungry, that kind of stuff. So for example, in this photo, you could have 3 Oreo cookies, which are delicious, by the way. Big fan of Oreos, to get 160 calories. Or you could have 2.5 pounds of celery, which is like 2 bunches of celery. So obviously the celery, it's going to take you a much longer time to eat. You are going to likely not be as hungry once your belly's all stuffed full of fibers and waters and celery juices and stuff. Whereas 3 Oreo cookies, I'm like, come on, come on. I don't think I've ever just eaten 3 Oreo cookies. I will easily eat a sleeve of Oreo cookies as a serving size to myself. And that's only if I have to share the package with the rest of my family. So yes, swapping out those highly processed, very easy to eat calories with more voluminous stuff is one way to get around the actual counting of calories. But are the calories still reduced? Yes, if the fat loss plan is going to work, the calories need to be reduced. And this is where a lot of meal plans and diet plans kind of fall apart for people, or people who say like, oh man, you know, I started doing the vegetarian diet or the paleo diet or the keto diet, and I lost so much weight at the beginning, but then I started gaining it back on, or I stopped making progress, or it had the opposite effect. How does that happen? It happens because you're a human and you will naturally find the loopholes of how to get more calories packed into your food. So like if we take the paleo diet, for example, they're a big proponent of like no processed foods, no grains, that kind of stuff. But potatoes are paleo, so is bacon, so is dates. And as soon as you figured out that you can have bacon wrapped dates as a snack on the paleo diet, then all of a sudden you are packing the calories in. So where you might have been losing fat on it initially because you were adding in a lot more vegetables, a lot more micronutrient rich but calorie poor food sources, now you're swapping them out just naturally. That's because that's how a human do. I mean, we haven't gotten at this point, at this stage, without just eating whatever was in front of us and being gravitated towards the most calorically dense things. So do you need to cut calories to lose weight? Yes, most of the time. And yes, some of these nutrition plans where they take out a food group that is more calorically dense, you will find success on those. It just depends. It's a very personal kind of thing. And there's no one perfect answer. I've got several different meal plans for y'all to choose from. If you're a Nerd Gym member, you know this already. There's a lot of customization and variation so that you can actually live with what you're doing long term. So that's the good news there. Now, when I say yes, most of the time, the most of the time part is what I'd like to talk about a little bit here too. Let's see, did I make a separate slide for this? Yeah, kind of. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. We'll describe it here. So when should you add calories? So obviously for mass gain, you should add more calories if you're trying to gain mass. There's a lot of debate in the like bodybuilding communities, like, oh, well, can you cut fat and gain muscle mass at the same time? the short answer is you can, but it's a huge pain in the ass. It's really like you really have to be super accurate. What most people who are in bodybuilding communities do is they do what's called a bulking cycle and a cutting cycle. And there's what's called a dirty bulk and a clean bulk. This is all bro science words. It's totally like gibberish, but it gives you the idea. So a dirty bulk would be like just eating whatever junk food you feel like to get more calories in. A clean bulk would be eating more of the same things that you should be eating for your general nutrition plan, a lot of the proteins and vegetables and all that kind of stuff, whole grains, but eating more of them. So in other words, it's a lot easier if you're trying to gain mass to go through a cycle where you're adding the calories in and you're not worried simultaneously about gaining muscle mass and losing fat, that you go back and forth between the two. If somebody has those two goals, they say, well, I want to both lose fat and gain muscle. In general, my recommendation is to first lose the fat, because then you will actually be able to see the muscle you're gaining when you're gaining it. So lose the fat first, then gain the mass. Then if you need to oscillate back and forth, that's why we know, that's the whole point of knowing what caloric range you should be in for your goals, because your goals will change, your activity level will change. The body doesn't stay the same, it's always in flux. So that's one reason why you would add calories, is for mass gain. For recovery. So if you are like legit sick or injured, like you got a broken leg or something, the calories that you take in, you need more of them, okay? You might have your base metabolic rate of 1200, say, but you're gonna need more than that. Even if you do want rapid fat loss. Rapid fat loss and injuries don't play well together. You're going to end up staying injured longer by not giving your body the resources it needs to rebuild, whether you're rebuilding muscle tissue or rebuilding bone or rebuilding skin, you know, whatever in your body needs help, you need to have those resources. So for mass gain and recovery, you should add calories. And here's the tricky one: to lose weight when you've gone too low for too long. Okay, so I've worked with a lot of folks in my time, and I will say that it is almost without exception, just because of the cultural norms and pressures that we have, that that a lot of the people who have this particular issue tend to be older women. And often they will blame it on their age and their hormones and what they feel is obvious reasons why they can no longer lose weight. But oftentimes, if we do the legwork to actually do a nutrition journal and see, okay, what are we already taking in, we find a lot of times these stubborn belly fat cases for older, and by older I mean like not in their 20s anymore. So like, you know, I'm talking people in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, all, you know, the huge swath of people. By older, I mean you've been able to be on a diet for at least 10 years, okay? So for people who have been undercutting their calories for 2, 5, 10 years, like going under-caloried for a long time, they may find that their body will downregulate its own metabolism, gradually catabolize its own muscle tissue, like use its own muscle tissue as fuel, lowering the metabolism even more, so that the body can actually even survive on the low caloric intake. So if you've been on a 800 calorie or a 1200 calorie diet plan for like a year, and you're like, oh man, I don't know what's wrong, I'm not losing weight, and now I'm gaining weight, or I've got this spare tire around the middle that won't go away. That spare tire is classic stress fat patterning. Your body thinks it's starving and it's storing whatever it can. So unfortunately, and this is, I say unfortunately because this is never the answer that any of these people that I've worked with want to hear when they're in this position. But unfortunately, what I have to tell them is, if you want to lose weight, if you want to lose fat from where you're at right now, you're going to have to start by, number one, adding more calories. You're going to have to add more calories, add them gradually so that your body can kind of ramp up with you. Increase your activity to help your body ramp up its metabolism. And during this phase, during this cycle, one of two things are going to happen. Either you're going to start adding the calories back in and getting more active, and you're going to start losing weight again right away, which is wonderful when that happens. It's miraculous when that happens. But what also might happen is you also might get a little fatter for a little while. And you really have to be okay with that, because the only way forward is to first increase your caloric intake so that we can subtract 500 calories without cutting into your base metabolic rate. So that's the thing. Base metabolic rate, again, that's what you need for brain function, for skin, hair, nails to not be falling apart on you. It just, you know, organs, like your organ tissues, you know, if you're having dysfunction with these things, your hormones are messed up, all this kind of stuff. It could be that you're not getting enough calories and you're not doing the work, you're not putting in the work to increase your metabolism, which would involve things like, you know, more activity, more exercise. So yeah, if you've dieted below your base metabolic rate and or cut calories for a prolonged period of time without fat loss, it is important to gradually increase your calories and activity to reset your metabolism for continued progress. You cannot do it from like negative, you know, 10 or whatever. You have to at least get to 0 or 1, you know, and then build up from there. You can't do it from a deficit. So if you are already at a deficit and you're trying to create a deficit from a deficit, you just can't. It won't work. So yes, that is an important one to understand. So, and this is also important for people who hit a plateau. So people who have been dieting for a long time, hit a plateau, go through a bulking cycle, just like a bodybuilder do, like where you do a clean, what they call a clean bulk, right? It's all foods that are on your plan, so you don't get runaway cravings for crazy stuff. And then from there, you would cut back down again, and you'll see that progress. So this is why it's worth knowing about your calories. Okay, is that everything? Did we go over it all? Did we do it all, guys? Let's see. Okay, so how many calories do I need? That's what the chart is for. What is a calorie? Unit of energy. Do I need to cut calories to lose weight? Yeah, most of the time. And when should you add calories? When you are trying to recover from something, when you're trying to add muscle mass, or when you have plateaued for a prolonged period of time and it's time to reset that metabolism. Okay, I hope you found that fun and interesting. And if you would like more videos like this one and you want to support these videos coming out, and or if you would like to become a member of the Nerd Gym and have access to live online classes with certified personal trainers, meal plans developed by your own personal nutritionist, and all sorts of good information, you can become a member of the Nerd Gym online by going to www.patreon.com/thenerdgym, and it's /the Nerd Gym, not /the Nerd Gym. And I'll put that in the comments, link to that in the comments. Okay, cool. All right, see y'all in the next one. Bye-bye.